When we think of the samurai, we picture invincible warriors, masters of the sword, who lived and died by a strict code of honor. But history is never that simple. The story of the samurai is also a story of devastating defeats, battles that didn't just end in loss, but completely reshaped the future of Japan. Today, we're counting down 5 of the worst samurai defeats that changed history forever. Let's start with the Battle of Dan-no-ura in 1185. This wasn't just a battle, it was the dramatic end of an era. The mighty Taira clan, who had dominated Japan for decades, faced the rival Minamoto clan in a massive naval clash. The Taira had the child emperor Antoku with them, believing his divine presence guaranteed victory. They were all outmaneuvered and overwhelmed by the Minamoto fleet. The Taira were annihilated. In a tragic final act, the emperor's grandmother took him in her arms and leaped into the sea, followed by the remaining Taira warriors. This defeat wiped out the Taira clan and allowed Minamoto no Yoritomo to establish the first shogunate, marking the true beginning of samurai rule in Japan. Fast forward to 1575 and the Battle of Nagashino. This battle represents a brutal collision between tradition and technology. The Takeda clan, led by the legendary Takeda Katsuyori, boasted one of the most feared samurai cavalry forces in Japan. They were confident they could charge right through the lines of Oda Nobunaga and Tokugawa Ieyasu. But Nobunaga had a game-changing surprise. Thousands of Ashigara foot soldiers armed with matchlock firearms ranged behind wooden barricades as the proud Takeda cavalry charged. They were met not with swords and spears, but with relentless volleys of gunfire. The elite samurai were cut down in waves. This stunning defeat proved that the era of cavalry charges was over. Firearms were the new king of the battlefield, and warlords who failed to adapt would be left behind. Next up, the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600. Often called the most decisive battle in Japanese history, this was the ultimate showdown for control of the entire country. On one side was Ishida Mitsunari, loyal to the heir of the late ruler Toyotomi Hideyoshi, leading the Western Army. On the other was the ambitious and cunning Tokugawa Ieyasu with his Eastern Army. Over 160,000 samurai gathered on a single field. The battle could have gone either way. But Ieyasu's brilliant political maneuvering paid off. He had secretly convinced several of Mitsunari's key generals to betray him. At a critical moment, these commanders switched sides, causing the Western Army to collapse. The victory was absolute. This single defeat allowed Ieyasu to unify Japan and establish the Tokugawa shogunate, which would rule for over 250 years of peace. Our fourth defeat takes us to the 19th century and the Boshin War. Specifically the Battle of Shiroyama in 1877. This was the last stand of the traditional samurai. Sage Takamori, one of the most respected samurai of his time, led a rebellion against the new Meiji imperial government, which was rapidly modernizing Japan and stripping the samurai of their special status. With only a few hundred loyal samurai left, Sage was cornered on a hill overlooking Kagoshima. They faced an imperial army of 30,000 soldiers, armed with modern rifles and artillery. The samurai charged one last time, fighting with swords against guns. It was a heroic but futile gesture. Sage was mortally wounded, and the rebellion was crushed. The Battle of Shiroyama was the final, tragic end of the samurai class, paving the way for a modern, centralized Japanese state. Finally, we have the Mongol invasions of the 13th century. While not a single battle, this was a series of defeats that profoundly shook the samurai. When Kublai Khan's massive fleets arrived in 1274 and 1281, the samurai warriors, accustomed to one-on-one duels, were shocked by the Mongols' tactics of coordinated group fighting, poison-tipped arrows, and explosive grenades. The samurai suffered heavy losses and were pushed back time and again. Both times, Japan was saved not by samurai skill, but by a massive typhoon, the kamikaze or divine wind that destroyed the Mongol fleet. These near disasters were a humbling wake-up call. It forced the samurai to rethink their entire way of war, leading to the construction of coastal defenses and a shift towards more group-oriented tactics, forever changing how they prepared for conflict, from the rise of the shogunate to the dawn of the modern age. These 5 defeats show that history is often written by the vanquished as much as the victors. They are powerful reminders that even the greatest warriors must adapt or face extinction. What do you think? Were there other defeats that were even more impactful? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this journey into samurai history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more.